This is my 2005 Honda Accord EX 2.4 liter 5-speed automatic. It's got a short list of things that are done to it that I'd like to show off. At the time of this recording, this car has almost 150,000 miles on it. And even after being modified, this thing still holds up pretty well. I've only had a few mechanical maintenance issues with this car. Everything else has been completely user error. And even then, there isn't a lot of user error to speak of. Starting off in the front end, we've got a 2006 to 2008 base Honda Civic grille with a matching black H badge. And the next thing in the front end is going to be the HFP replica front lip. This is for a 2003 to 2005 Accord Coupe. But if you'll notice, I've made a few tweaks to it. First thing being, I chopped the top part off. I just didn't like the way it looked, simply because there's nothing in the bumper that really matches that body line that's found in the front lip. So I cut it off, I got rid of it. Consequently, the lip fits much better. I love the way this looks. The other thing that's done to it is these spats that I've made custom, one of one. Everything that's color matched on this car is in fact wrapped. I'm sure you can tell even on camera. But the film is Avery Dennison SW900 803-M. I think it matches my paint pretty well. You can see a little bit of a difference, but only because this is almost brand new paint. The next thing I have up front is these Asian market headlights. I've got just some generic eBay switchbacks that are supposed to be error-free, but sadly they're not. The DRL shine white and the turn signals shine amber. They don't hyper flash unless the daytime running light or the headlights is set to be on. Speaking of headlights, for the bulbs, I have Type S 6500K LEDs. I would not recommend LEDs to anyone who doesn't already have projectors in their housings or really good adjustment. Especially with this car having been in an accident before, this side sits up way too high, so I end up blinding everyone in front of me. But only on this side. This side is fine. I've had lifted F-150s flash their brights at me because they thought that these brights were on when they weren't. So just a warning to anyone who wants to get LEDs. Make sure you have projectors, or make sure you know what you're doing before you put LEDs in halogen housings. That's it for the front end. Moving on to the side. These are touring style mirrors that I bought from Amazon for about $70 after tax. I have them color matched with the wrap that I discussed earlier, and they're hydro dipped fake carbon fiber underneath, which just looks horrible. I went to the junkyard, I snagged a set of stock mirrors, took the plate off, I just chopped it off, made this delete plate here with metal, and then bolted the mirror straight to that and that. Honestly, I think they look great. I love how small they are. I love the smaller form factor. Supposedly they're more aerodynamic, but I haven't noticed any difference. I will say though, I'm thinking about using some kind of like liquid or some kind of goop or grease to put in to the ball joints here to stop them from moving so much, because occasionally, especially if you're doing, not definitely faster than highway speeds, especially this passenger side tends to droop down over time. So if you do plan on picking up these mirrors, just be warned. I think they look fantastic. I love the way that they look on this car. And the only other set of mirrors I would run would be some GK Tech Ganador replicas. All right, moving on. These are custom 4-inch gutter side skirts from Home Depot. For two gutters, it cost me about $50. And of course, they're color matched with the Avery Dennison wrap that I talked about earlier. Moving on the windows, we've got gloss black B-pillar covers, also the B.5 pillars right there. I just think, especially in the daytime, it makes the window look like one big piece. That's my, philosophy behind that. I also have a full set of ABS low-profile window visors that are color matched. My only problem with them, I love the chrome, but my only problem with them is that they're not tall enough. I had plans to create some custom one-of-one 5-inch window visors. I think those would look absolutely sick. But unfortunately, these are only about 3 inches tall. They look fine. I think they look great. They're made of like a rubber material. I would highly recommend them to anyone who's interested. Also, I've color matched the rubber metal stripping right here. I think it looks great, very BMW-esque. I've also color matched this rubber strip right here. This is actually 3M 1080 gloss white aluminum. The only problem is this is now a discontinued film. So is this sun strip. It's also 3M 1080 gloss white aluminum. Like I said, it is discontinued, which is a huge heartbreaker for me because it matched the paint way better than this Avery does. You can barely tell the difference on camera, but in person, you can probably tell the difference. Up next, I made these little things. I don't even know what to call them. For now, I call them window or door garnishes. I had some extra sheet metal laying around and thought I'd play around after seeing the 11th gen Corollas, the E210, I think they're called. Specifically the sedans, where they have this line in the window where it just kind of curves up like that. I thought that looked super cool, and consequently, they look pretty good on the Accord. I've also got a totally unfinished chrome pinstripe. This pinstripe is old, this is new. This is a much better material, and it's holding up pretty well so far. This is straight up chrome vinyl, and this is like some kind of metallized polyester, like fancy shit. I don't know what it's called. Moving on to the back, these are rear spats from a 2013 to 2015 Accord, or 2017 Accord, sedan in particular. These were $35 on eBay. I couldn't pass them up. Honestly, they don't look too bad, but they kind of flare out too much compared to the side skirt. That's my only problem with them. Then we have my custom clear taillights. These are 1 of 1. I mean, the idea is not 1 of 1, but mine are 1 of 1. Also, we've got a So Scared Social Club sticker on there. For these, I used a sheet of acrylic and a junkyard set of outer taillights. These are inners. These inners are red underneath. They're just wrapped over with 3M 1080. I literally just went to the junkyard, bought a set of outers, and then just wrapped some acrylic over them. It took me like 2 hours per side, but it was so worth it. And for anyone who's wondering, this is factory. It's always been on the car. It's an option for the EX, no matter what motor you have. Zooming out further from the back, we've got my vanity plate. It's supposed to say VTEC sucks. I think it was just a funny idea that I had, you know, many months ago when I ordered it. Typical Oklahoma plate. Now it's red, but I had a blue plate on here before. It just looked kind of off. Even though it was blue, it wasn't that much different from the overall color, but it just didn't look right. And this just looks so much better. And this badge, I don't know exactly what it is. I think it's just a Honda like text badge or like a motorcycle badge or whatever. This is my group. This is the 7th Gen Showroom. I will put our Instagram in the bio. You guys can go check them out. We have almost 200 members, and every one of them is a modified 7th Gen Accord. It's crazy. The community on Instagram is huge. I had no idea there were this many modified 7th Gens until I started the 7th Gen Showroom. This roof spoiler is of course custom made, as you can tell. This is made from a 10-inch roll of roof flashing, and then I've made some custom supports underneath. You can see I need to make 2 more, one for each side, because it kind of pushes down in the wind. It's not great. But fun fact, it's actually stacked on top of another one, which helps keep it strong. Not a single bulb in this car is halogen. They're all LED bulbs. So that means glove box, trunk light, headlights, tail lights, map lights, everything is LED. All right, moving on to performance mods. I mean, it's really just for sound, but, and of course looks, but let's pop the hood. Oh yeah, keep the custom pedal covers that actually are not custom. I bought them from Advance. So this is the infamous Honda K series. Actually, it's not. It's the bottom of the barrel Honda K24A4. This is the same motor that came in the Honda Element. You see this motor and you think, oh wow, Honda K series. Actually, it's just the economy VTEC version. It's based on the VTEC E system, which basically only has VTEC in the intake cam lobe. Camshaft, you get what I'm saying. What it does is, until about 3,000 RPM, only 3 of the 4 valves are open fully. When they're fully open, only 3 of them are fully open. When VTEC E switches off, the 4th valve opens fully. From being opened only a little bit, it opens fully. So past about 3,000 RPM, you have all 4 valves open, and it basically acts like a non-VTEC engine, which in my opinion is kind of lame, but it saves a lot of gas. So this engine makes about 160 crank horsepower at its peak. I think it's about 5,600 RPM, but it redlines at 6,800 RPM and fuel cutoff is 7,000. The torque curve on this particular engine to this specific car is kind of weird. It's kind of sporadic at times, which is one of the reasons why I installed an EGR delete plate, which is the next mod I'm getting into. So basically what an EGR system is, EGR stands for exhaust gas recirculation. Getting rid of your EGR means that your engine burns cleaner, gets better gas mileage, and has less carbon deposits. Would I recommend it to anyone? Not really. It doesn't really do that much, and I mean, it's only $20, so you get what you pay for. The delete plate anyways from blocksracing.com. But speaking of Blocks Racing, this is my short ram intake. It's basically just an eBay short ram with a Blocks Racing velocity stack on the end. This is the velo stack right here. It flares out, and then that's a 7-inch filter. So if you don't know what a velocity stack is, on naturally aspirated engines, it really, really tunes the intake sound. It sounds super deep and growly, and it sounds awesome. I would highly recommend it if you have any naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. I would highly recommend it, especially for a Honda. It makes the driving experience a lot better. All right, next thing, strut tower bar. Doesn't really do that much. It's really just for looks. I got it for about 80 bucks on eBay. Not too bad. As for oil, I run Valvoline 5W30 full synthetic restore and protect. I've heard a lot of really good things about this stuff, and I've had no problem so far. Yes, this is heat wrap on my short ram intake. Does it work? No idea, but it's there. The muffler that I'm running is an HKS high power muffler. I got it for about 110 bucks after tax on eBay. It actually gets a lot of work done. This car without a muffler sounds like actual garbage. I wouldn't recommend anyone a muffler delete if you have a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, especially if it's direct injection. It's just not going to sound good. It's going to be very loud, sure, but it won't sound good. I'm a huge advocate for quality of sound over volume, and this being a naturally aspirated Honda is going to be pretty difficult to achieve like a really nice tone. In the past, I had a Magnaflow 11225. It got the job done, but it still sounded pretty quiet and it didn't look that great. So I got this one both for looks and for sound. Moving to the interior, we got a few things going on. First, we've got a leather steering wheel wrap. I got this for like 60 bucks off Amazon. It fits pretty well. I didn't do the best job of putting it on, but it gets the job done. It's very comfortable, and underneath the steering wheel is pretty chopped. Over here, we've got some unhooked up JBL tweeters. Got some DX LX armrest trim. It's on all 4 doors. Next, we got a fake Mugen shift knob that I like to twist the Mugen logo away from myself so I don't have to look at it. I had to take this top piece off and bore out the hole that's in it to get it to fit, but other than that, it works pretty well. I've got a Jordan Distributors push button start conversion. All you do is take the key, put your foot on the brake, tap, that's it. Not bad. I've got a Sony head unit. The sound system is completely stock in this car. I haven't done anything to this sound system. I've also got a wink mirror up here, otherwise known as a 5-panel mirror. They put these things on golf carts. They're pretty cool. Here's my view with the new mirrors. Really not that bad. And in the rear, I've got a little light that is not hooked up right now. I just haven't had the time to hook it back up. But it's all, this and the underglow is controlled from this panel right here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on. I usually leave it on red pulse. Let me show you guys. It's really not too bad. It's really reminiscent of the old school underglow where you only had tubes that were about that long on the front and back and about that long on the side there. This is what the rear looks like. I really like the rear. I'm gonna pull this car back in. Turn this thing off, foot on the brake. So to discuss the suspension on this thing, I've got the upgraded 16K springs in front and the stock 8K rears in the rear. 8K rears in the rear. Okay. I would like to upgrade to 22K front Swiss springs and then move the 16s to the rear to have a little bit more stiffness, but that's just what I'm running for now. I've also got max speeding rods, camber arms, and tow arms in the rear. I would like to get some SPC leading and trailing arms to help with the setback, but as for the way that they ride, combined with the tire aspect ratio, it rides pretty well. I think for a lowered car, it feels really nice. And on these Oklahoma roads, I don't really have any problems at this ride height. But yeah, speaking of the wheels, these wheels are from about a 2002 Nissan Altima. They're 17x7 plus 45, 5x1 14.3 bolt pattern with a 66.1 millimeter center bore. I had to get hub centric rings to make them fit correctly. And these are wrapped in 225/45 R17s. 2 of them have brand new valve stems because the cores were leaking and because they were just not balanced correctly. And one of the tires is mismatched, and of the 3 that do match, one of them is worn more than the rest. That's going to be it for this one. I built a lot of this car in high school on a pretty tight budget. I'm still on a pretty small budget as of right now. I'm pretty proud of what I was able to create with such a little amount of money. If y'all have any questions or comments or anything like that, let me know in the comments, and I'm happy to answer any questions y'all have. But thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll see you in the next one.
Listen to this shit, you might smack. Now you're with pride. Oh, you feeling like Superman, you ain't die?